Okay, should be sound now, folks. Check, check. Hey, yeah, I'm seeing actually a little bit of meter at the bottom here. So what I'm doing here is testing Google Chrome for live streaming. Normally, for those that don't know about live streaming, you have to use like a program like OBS or that kind of thing. Audio is good and in sync, says Build Your Own Bass. Awesome. Speaking of Build Your Own Bass, I have a new video coming out today, but I was going to tell you about that in a minute. But which is finishing the build on my Warwick bass. So it's coming out today. So I'm trying a couple different things on YouTube today. This is just I'm just here just to test this and make sure it works. It seems pretty cool so far. So you guys let me know if it looks the same as usual. It might even look better than usual. Normally I use a program called OBS, which streams to my browser and technical blah, blah, blah. But this actually is streaming straight out of Google Chrome, and it seems to work quite well. So I like it. And the other thing I'm going to try today, guys, if anybody's around at 3 p.m. is this, it's this YouTube Premiere thing. So I'm putting up a new video today at 3 p.m. and it's all about the build of my new Warwick bass. And so basically it's kind of this combined with watching a new video. It's like there's a chat, you get to go online and chat and watch the video at the same time. And I'm there as you're watching it, and we can like interact in the chat and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So Dagna says he likes OBS. I like OBS too. It works pretty good, but this is one less step. All you got to do is open the browser. And it's you don't have to have much better quality, says Gary. Yeah, it does look pretty damn good. Like the streaming is excellent as far as I can tell. There's also a strange kind of audio thing with OBS that happens where it kind of sounds a little MP3-ish, for lack of a better term, a little garbled. Image is very clear, says Amadio. Yeah, I agree. I think it's looking pretty cool. So yeah, so maybe I'll give this a try from now on. Seems to work great. It was getting to the point where it's easier to like stream out of your phone than it is to stream on the computer, which seemed crazy. If you got to use an extra program on your computer, but you just go live on YouTube on your phone easily. So I guess they've got that figured out or whatever, and this seems to work pretty good. 720p running sweet, says Carl. Good. Awesome. Yeah, great. So I'm gonna experiment with this from now on. And while I'm here, I'll just hang for a few minutes. I'll probably delete this video and not have it like living on YouTube or whatever after this. But since I'm here and you guys are here, I love the new PT100 plugin, says John. That's awesome. Thank you. What are some of your favorite presets you use all the time? Well, actually, with the plugin included, I do believe, are the presets that I used in the song that is in the official video for it. So those are a few that I made. And like there's one in there called Pete 3 channel something or other. And that was like I set up all 3 channels kind of like I would on the amp live. So that's a good basic starting point if you want to try that. Also, the impulse responses from number 74 through 77 or 78, which are the PT212 that they did over there in Germany. Those are my favorites by far. I like some of the other ones too, but those ones really sound like the amp. Play some guitar, please. I'm sorry, I don't have anything set up right now to play. That'll be something that I got to get going. Can't wait to see the bass, says Amis. Yeah, man, me too. I don't actually have it here at the moment. It's being shipped right now. So I decided to ship it from Germany. Wow, there's 116 people online. Doing a little live stream here in the middle of the day. That's cool. Voice is clear and strong, says Simon. Awesome. What mic am I using? The Samson at this moment. I'm using the G-Track Pro. So, which I'm really liking. I like this, and I like the Audio Technica that I've got as well. They're both really, really good, but this one just happened to be. Wish you would release P100 plugins as native. Yeah, I'm sure that's the thing that Brainworks does, and they developed it. So part of what makes it sound so good is, of course, it's no different than really almost designing an amp. You got to have a coder that knows what they're doing. So it would probably be like sort of starting from scratch with another plugin company, because as I believe, well, they do Plugin Alliance. I'm not really sure if Brainworks does plugins that aren't UAD. That's a really good question. I have no idea. You know, the other thing that seems really good on this is the chat window seems excellent. You know how I'm always saying on Sundays, if you guys watch me, that the chat window's jumping around? This seems much better. So I'm stoked. I'm glad I stumbled on this today. This is going to be good for my Sunday live streams. Can I post a video that shows a great tone at a low volume? Well, that's coming from Cameron. You know, the reality is, like, if you see me in this environment where I'm tracking in here, it's stuff that you could do through headphones because I'm usually using the aux or the Sur reactive load. So you can track with no volume, basically, or get a good tone, in other words, at no volume. So imagine that you could have a little powered monitor speaker, like a studio monitor or, you know, a full range speaker, but just turn it all the way down. You could get that sound using either the aux or Sur reactive load and some impulse responses a couple different ways. But so the sounds that you hear in my videos, in other words, especially if I'm doing them here and you know that I haven't mic'd up a cabinet because I'm in this place, know that those could be done through headphones or through incredibly low, like, you know, TV volume if you want to. Yeah, this is really good live quality, says Alchemy Guitar. Awesome, good. Yeah, this is good. This is good discovery here. Would a quad be enough to run the PT100 amp sim? Oh yeah, like you're talking about a UAD quad. You could run it on probably on an Arrow, I would think, one of the little guys. I mean, amp sims, they do require some juice, like from the UAD on the platform. You know, they use some of the processing power for sure. But you can run at least one instance of it, I would think, even on their smallest interface. When does my HX Stomp review come out? So I shot a video for the HX Stomp last week at the Line 6 studio. They wanted to get a first impression kind of thing, and it was for Guitar Center. So they met me at the Line 6 studio, and the whole idea was pull the thing out of the box, plug it in, and try and get a bunch of sounds. So I wouldn't imagine that's coming out any second. They're a little behind the ball, actually, on getting it out, I would say, because there's other ones out there already. But they sent me the video, and whoever did the editing of the video did an amazing job. I think they're really good at what they do. All I did was mic up a little old 60s deluxe reverb, plugged the pedal into that, and got a bunch of tones that way. And then we also plugged it in direct, and I dialed in a bunch of sounds. And I used it with some other pedals on my little sort of portable pedal board I have. And so it's a actually very comprehensive video that we shot in about an hour. And really, really nice video quality as well as audio quality. And from what I heard, I mean, through the deluxe, you know, I was just sitting in the room with the amp, so I couldn't hear what was going down, but they mic'd it properly with a 57 and a Royer. I just got a good, nice, clean sound. And then I used the Stomp. So I think it's a really, really good video and should give you an excellent idea of what that thing sounds like. And the idea was plug it in and just kind of like music store style, plug it in and get some sounds and see what it sounds like really on the fly. So it's a very honest video, and you'll get my, you know, instant reaction when I'm playing things through it and stuff like that. I just set up a bunch of different sounds and stuff and then played them like right there on the spot. So that should be out any minute. I mean, I would imagine it's probably coming out this week or something. And I also recorded a track with the thing. So I brought it back home here after that day, and they asked me, can you record for a video, like not with you playing in it, but can you record a song with it? And we can use the music to put in one of our videos, like probably, I don't know, video where they're showing the pedal and, you know, that kind of thing. And so you'll hear the music that I came up with here at home in that video. And I thought, that thing's amazing. No screwing around. I mean, there's no, it's a Helix in a little pedal that you can't quite run as many blocks as the big one. I mean, you can only get 6 or 7 at a time, but how many effects do you really use at once, right? So it's pretty outstanding, that thing. I mean, there's no, it's like, who in the video I basically sort of say, like, who can afford to be without this thing? It's like an amazing tool for a guitar player. So that's really my honest feeling of it. Is it's a much better, you know, version of not an H9. That's not what I was going to say. A M9, the Line 6 M9 or M5. You know, where those little jack of all trades pedals. Just imagine that, but with everything and amp modeling built in, and better quality effects. It's really terrific. So, yeah, I love this new way to stream. This is great. The chat is so, well, it did actually just jump all the way to the end, but it's better. High views equal crazy fast chat. Yeah, I agree. That's from the Poo Ninja. Yeah, I think you're right. Good views mean that people are logging on and that it's working. So I'm stoked. This works, says Julian. Awesome. This is so much better than what I was doing for live streams. Any thoughts on the BK Butler tube driver pedal? I kind of never bonded with that thing. I've tried it a bunch of times. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll sound good through this amp. I don't know. Maybe I'm just using it the wrong way. It never blew me away, so I've never had one. Audio is breaking up a bit. That could be, I might have the mic set a little too loud. The audio, the audio is showing green, like on the chat window here. Oh, yeah, it's weird. It's like I can't have this mic up too loud or it seems to drive, overdrive. But in Google, you've got a little level meter and it seems to be kind of low. So I was pushing it a bit, but I think it's probably better just set a little lower. It's probably fine. I'll have to watch the replay of this a little bit and check out the audio. Any chance of putting your Helix patches up for sale? I don't really want to sell them. I would just give them away if anybody was interested. I would make some and just give them the Line 6. They're so good to me. I would give them to them and they can just upload them and, make 10 or something. I'm happy to do that at some point. And as a matter of fact, I think maybe they did that in the HX effects, the little guy, the effects, not the smallest one, the Stomp, but the one that's purely effects. I think I made 7 patches for that for NAMM last year, and they did give them away in that, I think, not for the full Helix, but just the effects. I'd really like a video on getting good tone through a cheap 20-watt amp, just by adjusting the levels. Well, a cheap 20-watt amp, I mean, I could, like, dialing in a cheap amp, I guess. I don't know. What kind of amp do you have? Thoughts on Chase Bliss pedals? I have the Total Recall delay here, and I really like that. Is this different from YouTube live stream? It's just a standard YouTube live stream, but done with a much apparently better way to go about it. So instead of having to use an external program on my computer to stream the audio and video, which is OBS, it's always worked well and everything, but it's slightly problematic, it seems, compared to this, which looks really clear as far as I can tell, and everybody seems to be digging it. So it's really just technically different in the way that I'm going about doing it, but otherwise no different for you guys on your end, other than you're going to get better video and audio, I think. How do I run my effects in the Mark V that are stereo? The Mark V. Oh, are you talking about the Musicom Lab, my switcher? So they're not in loops on the switcher. I just run the effects by themselves because they're MIDI and you can bypass them just by switching, so you don't really need them in loops. In the manual, it shows the 4-cable method, which I want to use with a mono amp, but the effects are using stereo Y cable. Well, I don't use them in the. If you want to run mono effects, and it depends what you've got and stuff. It's too hard to get into here, but whatever your setup, this is for Christopher. It really depends, and consider that if you're using things like a Timeline, an H9, a DD500, any of those types of effects that have MIDI, you don't need to run them in the loops really on the switcher. You can run them on their own and MIDI switch them to bypass them. Does that make sense? I hope so. The only things I put in the loops are pedals that don't have any MIDI capability or ability to bypass through MIDI. Reading Fizz and Sprinkles comment here. I don't gig. I jam in my studio and track in my studio. I run a fractal rig and studio monitors. I never dove into amps, but now I'm thinking, is it worth getting a tube amp and an aux? I think so. Yeah. I mean, then you'll know, try something different. Get something cool. I have a new amp for you soon. It's coming. Might be the one for you, actually, wanting to make the jump, but, my new amp is going to be really cool, and it's going to be a bridge between all of this kind of stuff. Especially for folks that are on the fence about things like Axe effects or Helixes, and they're like, "Well, I really would like a real amp, but I want some of that stuff that you can do with those things. So check it out when it comes out. It's going to be pretty soon. Listening on my DT770 Pro, says Henrique, and it sounds good. Less ambient noise than usual. Very nice. Awesome. Eric says, your audio has some weird compression that comes and goes going on. Well, you sort of don't really have much control over this. You know, you're streaming over the internet, and who knows what sort of, you know, it's not coming from me. In other words, it could be something to do with Google Chrome and YouTube and yeah. Let's see, audio is compressing at times, says David. Yeah, it could be just some compression algorithm they have that you know, it works. Brett says, looking good, Pete. Any thoughts on Politia? They're very interesting to me. I think a large part of what they do is almost derived from, I think they must be influenced by some Japanese stuff that's going on, certainly fashion, but they kind of remind me of like a Japanese band in some ways, like in the way they look and in the way they play, like music over there. I wonder if they listen to some of that music, that like, you know, shreddy kind of progressive stuff, as well as the look and everything that they've got going. So I was wondering about that with them. But, you know, it's interesting stuff. My thoughts on Politia are that there was a long period of time where you couldn't play like that. Or, you know, they like, I don't really think those guys, they're young and they don't have any kind of qualms about shredding, about coming up tap parts and playing shreddy, pointy guitars, things like that. For a long time, you couldn't really do that. It wasn't cool, right? Coming through the 90s and then into, and now we're so far past that they're doing it, and kids have no reference to that anymore. Like the 80s is what I'm getting at. The stigma of shredding and Floyd Roses and tapping and stuff like that. You can kind of do that again, and it's almost seen as a new thing now, I think. That's so separate from the 80s and then the 90s and then the, you know, it's like they don't have that same frame of reference that we did, or stigma, where it kind of went away for a while. So that's my thoughts on Politia, that it was like, oh, these guys are kind of doing this in a whole way. Like if you're older, you know, if you're 40 or something, you know, you go, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of like, they're playing Ibanez's and shredding and tapping and stuff. And so you immediately reference back to the 80s. But consider if you're 20 years old or 18 or 16, you're just like, what are these guys doing? That's cool. I've never seen anybody do that before, because they're not looking back that far probably. So I thought it was interesting from that perspective. I got 200 people online. Rad. It's pretty cool. Fantastic. I just went rad. Why do I talk that way? I don't know. Tony says he's using a pedal switcher for 6 pedals. Do I recommend using a buffer at the beginning or end, or both? That's a really good question. You can look into whether any of your pedals already have a buffer in them. You've only got 6, so, you know, it depends. What I would do is hook up your whole rig, plug the cable that you're going to plug from your pedal board into your amp in to your guitar directly. Okay, and just listen to that with probably a clean sound. And then plug that cable into your pedal board. Now plug cable into the front of your pedal board, if that makes. Hook up the pedal board then and turn off all the effects and listen and see if it sounds different. If it sounds basically the same, then you probably don't need to worry about anything. And my guess is there's probably a buffered pedal on your board somewhere that's handling the buffering. But if it sounds different, then probably what you want to do is start adding one thing at a time and figuring out what is where the change is happening, if that makes sense. So a buffer at the beginning of your pedal board is generally speaking a pretty good thing, unless you've got a fuzz or germanium, you know, univibe or something like that going on, where you're going to want to put the buffer after that, because it's going to affect the tone of that pedal. So, you know, a buffer at the beginning can be great. Certainly if you're going to go through a volume pedal or a wah or any of that kind of stuff, you want to have a buffer so that you're not, those pedals can degrade your tone considerably. But that's really the way to do it, is the process of first starting by plugging a cable that you're going to run out of your pedal board. It's probably going to be 20 feet or so. You know, to plug that cable right into your guitar and take a listen. Then plug that cable into your last pedal on your pedal board. and plug a cable into the input of your pedal board, turn off all the effects and listen. So just hook the pedal board up then and listen. If there's not really an appreciable difference, then you don't really need to worry about it. And if there is, start hooking up one pedal at a time and figure out where the issue happens, and then try putting a buffer around that spot on the pedal board. That's a pretty good way to do it. Kind of the process of elimination or addition. Start adding things to the rig and see if it starts changing the tone. Did I find anything in Germany that blew me away? Like gear-wise, or probably one of my favorite things there gear-wise is the Game Changer stuff, which they make this sustain pedal that looks like a sustain pedal for a piano. That's really amazing. It does a really cool kind of hold thing that allows you to do some incredible stuff. It's been out for a minute. They also have a fuzz that's really cool, kind of brutal sounding. Rick Beato was really fascinating, and Adam Neely was fascinating. Really intelligent guy, Adam, and I really enjoyed listening to him speak and his perspective on things. You know, a younger guy, and like he kind of approaches music like science, and I like his scientific kind of approach to things. And it was interesting getting to hang with him and talk. And also, these guys have some really big YouTube channels. You know, I think Adam's got 500,000+ subscribers, and so does Rick. I hadn't really checked out either of their channels that much. And once I started looking, you know, Rick's channel is amazing too. His What Makes the Song Great series is really great. Go check it out. And, you know, he'll make you think about a song in a way that you hadn't maybe before. And his way of analyzing a song and breaking it down, and his kind of youthful sort of enthusiasm about it is really infectious. Plus, technically, the videos are great. They're just really educational, and it can't probably help. It can't probably, you know, do anything but help your appreciation of music. Also, teaching you things about music and what makes cool songs have an impact. You know, it's probably going to be. It's a great exercise in both songwriting as well as just appreciating music. He did one on a Pearl Jam song last week, and he filmed it while I was there at VidCon, and I was seeing him film it, kind of walking in and out of the room. I'd see him, you know, working on it, and then I got to watch the video the other day, and it's so interesting to see different people's processes when they're coming up with these videos, because it's a creative process, just like writing a song or tracking a song or something. It's no different to me, really. They're just making a video instead, and then to see the finished thing and see what he did, it was like, oh wow, this is really great. They're so well done, and you know, he makes them all by himself, and so that was the thing that really blew me away. It's more the seeing these people and their approach to making these videos. You know, there was a girl there she calls herself Guitar Goddess on YouTube, and she's like kind of a beginning to intermediate sort of acoustic guitar player, and I didn't really get her trip on the surface until I went and watched her videos, and then I was like, oh my god, she makes these great videos that are like really useful. The way that she does them, they're entertaining to watch, and really educational, and for a certain kind of guitar player, they're going to be the perfect thing to watch. So then I was like, oh, I see what she's doing. She's great at what she does, you know. So that's the most kind of, when you go to that thing, that's the thing that I get out of it, is seeing the different ways that these people are creating great stuff to watch that's really informative and educational and interesting, and you kind of get it gives you ideas about how to do things differently, and kind of fires you up, because you can with this YouTube thing, you don't want to get stale, you know. Even my format here, the live stream thing, I've done a lot of these now. I don't want it to get stale, so maybe I need to revisit different ways. Certainly technically, I'm trying to get better at it, which is why I'm experimenting with what we're doing right now. You know, going to that thing, it just makes you think of things in different ways, so that we can continue to kind of create and come up with cool stuff that you guys enjoy. Pete rocked a GitCon with Phil X and Kiefer. Yeah, that's wait till you see the video that we did, though. We did a where we recorded Smoke on the Water. It's for Kiefer's channel. And we did Smoke on the Water with all three of us playing the solo at the same time and stuff. So it wasn't as good when we did it at the jam, because, you know, we'd only learned it that day. And when we filmed it for the video earlier in the day, we were able to do a few takes and get a really good one. And it was better at the so it's going to be a really, really funny video, I think, when it comes out. Just fun. We're just all playing in harmony and kind of doing the solo in unison and taking solos and stuff. It was fun. So somebody's asking about a clinic. I hadn't intended to do this for a while here today. I have to go soon because I'm actually working on a video for the new Immerse Mark II, which is sitting right here. I can't pick it up because it's in this crazy clamp that I've got it in to display it for the video. But I'm going to go get to work on the video in 5 minutes here or something. But are 2 boost pedals advisable before and after an overdrive pedal? That's from Keynote. It only depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you run an overdrive if you run a boost into an overdrive and the overdrive's on, it's just going to drive the overdrive harder. The volume's not really going to go up very much, and you're going to get a more saturated tone, probably a little looser with more sustain. Or if it's a tight kind of boost or a treble boost, it's probably tighten up the sound a little bit while adding gain. If you run a boost after the overdrive, it's just going to bump the volume up. So you could get more, if you're running into a clean amp, it's going to give you a louder sound. So it just depends on what you need. Paul says, just got Pete Thorn 2 in the mail yesterday, and great album. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Which affordable ribbon mic do I recommend? The ST170 is what I think it's called, from Guitar Center, from Musician's Friend or Sterling Audio, which is their brand. That mic smokes. It's rad, and it's inexpensive. It's like $199 or something. Basically, I've never done a direct shootout, but I had a Royer 122 for a while, and to me, for what I use a ribbon for, it worked every bit as good. So I've got it at my studio. I haven't had a ton of chance to use it. I did use it on Kyushu Blues on the new album, though. I think that's the mic I used, along with the 57 for those tones. It's a great sounding ribbon mic with like a buttload of gain because it's active, and it just has a terrific sound. So check that out. And amazing video with Adam Neely and Jamie Lewis, says Gabriel. That's the bass lesson video I put up yesterday or 2 days ago. Many thanks for that. You're welcome, man. I had a great time doing that. I love the spontaneity, and those guys gave me so much great info. Any chance I could do a tutorial on how I program drums? I probably will one of these days, yeah. It seems like there's a lot of demand for it. How are you getting on with the Warwick bass? I don't have it yet. They're shipping it to me because I was already flying with a guitar. So I was like, I don't want to fly with 2 guitars. It's just going to be expensive. It's probably going to cost more than bag fees. And I was just like, can you just ship it to me? And so they're sending it to me. So I should have it next week, I would think. There's a good That Pedal show with all about buffers in the signal chain, says Alchemy Guitar. So yeah, maybe reference that. The fellow had the buffer question earlier. So you guys, I think I'm going to jet pretty soon here. But this was rad. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll use this from now on for the live stream because this just seems to work great. So I'll live stream. This is, if anybody does YouTube out there and they want to try this, it's Google Chrome. Download the new version, and it seems to be pretty rocking. So much better, I would say. I prefer this greatly. So that's it. Have a good rest of your day. Oh, and wait. Hold on. Don't go yet. It's 12:27 at 3 p.m. today. I'm trying this other new thing on YouTube today, which is the Warwick bass building of video, which is pretty cool if you're geeky and you like building guitars, or you're interested in the build and you want to see some behind the scenes stuff of the everything from, when I got there, it was raw wood, and by the end of it, it's completely finished and assembled. So all that is documented in the video. And today I'm trying this premiere thing where I premiere the video at 3 p.m. and I'm there and I'm in the chat just like this. And we can kind of interact in the chat, and you can ask me questions about stuff. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting, I think, to give it a try. So thought I'd do it today. So today, 3 p.m., you guys should get a notification, I would think. If you got a notification about this live stream, you'll get one about the premiere thing. You can go and check it out, and we'll hang out while the video is streaming. That's just in 2.5 hours here. Okay, hope to see you there, or here, or whatever. Take it easy, guys. Have a good rest of your day, and see you in a few hours if you can join. Bye.